All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Low Back Pain Virtual Workshop. Happy summer, happy Tuesday night. I appreciate you being on with us live on such a beautiful evening. For those of you who don't know, my name is Dr. Eric Wallace. I'm a physical therapist and owner here at ModusRx Physical Therapy. And boy, have I got a story for you to kick off the night. Things happen. Not the end of the world. There's certainly a lot bigger problems out there. But went back to the clinic about a half an hour ago, setting up to plan on doing this workshop there, because I know there I can demonstrate things and show you the types of things that I want exercise-wise, and get into the clinic and absolutely zero internet, none. Red flashing light, not going to happen. So I am back in a different spot, best I could come up with on the spot. And I just want you to bear with me. Some of the exercise demonstrations and whatnot, I ended up switching to more of a video form. So we will click on a link and I will kind of talk you through examples of what I'm talking about when we get to that spot. But man, life is interesting, isn't it? And so interesting that I asked people to be on a back webinar on a beautiful summer night, and here you are, and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you, and thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you get something from this webinar, and make sure you involve yourself as much as possible, okay? That's all I'm going to say about it before we move on. So a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, if anything were to happen with internet, make sure that you hang on the link. We will figure it out. It's just been one of those days. So if something goes awry with the internet, then you can just hang on the link. I'll be back, I promise, hopefully, unless my internet's completely shot. A little bit of housekeeping. Turn off your cell phones, close down your browsers. We have spent time on this presentation. We are taking time out of our busy schedule tonight, so please put your full attention into this. Let's have a pen and paper ready and take some notes. If I know anything about learning, the more we write down, the more we repeat, the more whatever it is that we will process it better. And ask questions, right? This webinar is geared for giving examples of all of the types of people we've worked with for the last 11 years. I've been working with back pain for the last 11 years. We've seen every single type, size, shape, whatever you want to call it with back pain, spinal cord injury, the CrossFitter that tweaked their back and thinks their world's going to end, because they can't go to the gym the next day. I mean that respectfully, CrossFitters. But be ready to insert yourself here, because I'm hoping that one of the big points of this webinar is that you will find yourself in the stories or the other people or the examples that I'm giving. So make sure that you insert yourself here and ask questions, and type into the chat. Let us know where you're watching from, what brings you here. Let's see. Give people a little bit of time to do that. But yeah, I really want tonight to be interactive, so make sure that you are typing into the chat, and I'll get to questions as I'm able. So, all right, why this workshop and why for you? So if you don't know me yet, hopefully one of the things that you'll take from tonight is that my glass is 7/8 full, meaning I don't take back pain as a death sentence. That doesn't go together for me. Back pain is not a forever death sentence, and you can break free from these shackles that you're feeling like you're stuck in. And the only reason I say that, because there's danger in optimism, I get that, but I have worked with so many people in the last 11 years that thought they were done, thought they were stuck, thought it was over, and I've seen it go the opposite way. So that's why, more than anything, my glass is 7/8 full. I have optimism with some objective proof behind it. This is kind of a step-by-step guide on how we specifically have helped thousands of local and online people deal with their back pain. So the challenge with a workshop is that by nature, it has to be a little bit cookie cutter, because we're talking to a different group of people. All might be dealing with things in their own way, but by and large, all in all things considered, this is kind of an overall 35,000 foot step-by-step view of how a lot of people that we work with, how we've helped them with their back pain. When you think about a life with no back pain, what does it look like? And I pose that question in there because I know there is research that shows you have to have faith in what's happening, in what you're doing, in the person you're working with. You have to have faith that there is a solution ahead of you. And I want you to start to think about what your life looks like without back pain, because without that, you're not going to stay motivated. You're not going to stay into this. You're not going to deal with the grudge type activities that I ask you to do. And I want to tell you right now that without faith and without hope, it's very, very likely that you're not gonna get to where you want to go. And this webinar is designed to show you how we help others, some of the others that we've helped, give you a little bit of that hope that there might be a different way, there might be a different lens, somebody's out there that might be helping you deal with things a little bit differently. And you'll learn our core matrix for eliminating back pain. It's not anything fancy. I'm not some guru that has this special, I don't know what you call it. I don't have some special program or whatever you will. This is very specifically how we take people through things in our clinic. Who should be on this virtual workshop? So if you're an active individual and your back pain has stopped you from doing the things you want in the gym, making gains, getting that stress relief that we so need, this is going to be for you. If you woke up with back pain this week and for the first time you thought, am I getting old? I am 38 years old. I will be the first to tell you I have been in that category. Weird things, you wake up, whatever it is, just this things that didn't used to happen start happening. This might be for you. You've had back pain for years. You've tried everything, and really, quite honestly, you just don't have any idea where to go next. If I had a nickel for every time we heard that in our four walls, I'd still be doing this webinar, don't get me wrong, but maybe I would not be needing to sell on this webinar. And then you only feel good. This is a classic one. You only feel good when you see your chiro, your massage therapist, your manual-based physical therapist, like me, where we do some physical or some hands-on work, and you feel good for a while, but you can't make it to stick. This is going to be for you. You can only take the edge off with ibuprofen, Aleve, or worse, narcotics. Hopefully I don't need to go down the rabbit hole of narcotics and what they're doing to society these days. You've had not one, not two, but 3 back surgeries. Hopefully nobody on here has had 3 back surgeries, but I have heard of it. And we have been able to help people get out of that situation, if you will. All you want to do is move heavy weights and get your fitness on, but your back just says, no thanks, not tonight. Sorry, I've been, I get amped about this stuff, so you got to bear with me. I will lose my voice easily because I will talk way too much. Then this is another classic. Again, all these are just examples of things that I see and hear every day. You had a legitimate fight with your family, your spouse, your mom, your dad, your kid, sibling, because they are sick and tired, or you are sick and tired of hearing them constantly complaining about their back. And they complain. Clearly things aren't going well, but they have not done anything about it yet. This is going to be for you. So who have we helped? I use some of these past examples, testimonials, if you will, to give you an idea that we work with people all over the place, people that have come from everywhere, every situation. We have individuals, like I said, that are active individuals and they're doing so many of the right things and their back just stops cooperating with them. We have other individuals who have had chronic pain and they've tried everything. They've been proactive. They thought they were lost and stuck, and they've also seen it through and gotten where they want to go. So we just give you a couple examples here. I'll leave this page up for a second, but you know, I'm incredibly grateful and I'm incredibly happy that like I'll talk about in a little bit behind my why, we set up a scenario where people get the chance and get the opportunity to make the progress that they deserve. So where does this story begin and why? So to make a long story short, my goal with Modus RX is to take a sledgehammer to the traditional model of healthcare. And before I dive too deep into this and get too passionate about it, I don't mean that from a standpoint of, I don't want to talk bad about any other practitioners. I don't want to sit here and say we're doing it the right way and somebody else is doing it the wrong way. With the way that I personally, in my heart of heart, believes that I can help people and that the business that I develop can help people, this is how we want to go about things. And we're taking a sledgehammer to it because the traditional model, in our opinion, we don't feel like it gives people an opportunity to get all the way well. It's a dependency model. It's a quick fix model. And we don't think that it's the best option for the type of people that we work with and the expertise that we have. And so 5 years ago, I said, if I'm going to do this, we're putting our foot down and we're going to drop a sledgehammer to the traditional model, meaning that we will dictate what happens with our clients as a team, us and our client together. We don't have somebody 2,000 feet away, 2,000 feet away saying, you can't do this treatment, you can't do that treatment. No, we're not going to cover this. Yes, we're not. Yes, we're going to cover that. Oh, you get this many visits. Based on what? They haven't been in the room with us. They don't even have a general sense of what your goals are, and we're going to let them dictate how your care goes. There's no other business in the world that does something like that, and therefore I am recognizing that, and that's why I and we are deciding to do things the way we do. So that's first of all. Now, second of all, there's a story about 2 years in, and what happened was I had this sweet old lady. She came to me with back pain, and she wasn't even, I think she was like, well, let me be careful with the use of the term old. We're all aging, right? So I gotta say, she was in her 50s, and she came, and this was back when I was in the traditional model, outpatient orthopedic clinic. She came to me for back pain, and we did our classic 2 times a week for 4 weeks, whatever the insurance allowed, and she got better. And back as a young practitioner, I was like, yes, I can do this. I can make a difference in the world. I'm making people feel better, right? Well, 3 months later, guess who ends up back on my schedule? The same individual, and comes back for basically the exact same thing. And so I'm sitting here thinking, this is interesting. And I like to think I'm pretty self-aware, or I kind of take a look at things maybe a little bit deeper. And I was like, we gotta talk about this. So I ask her, I say, okay, you're back. It's been 3 months. You were doing well. We had you in a good spot. What happened? And I basically come out and I say, well, you tell me what you think happened, right? I like to ask people. It's their body, it's their situation. I think I can get a lot of information from them if I say, what do you think happened? So I tell her, or I say, or I ask her, what do you think happened? And she comes back at me, and she was the classic, everything's out on all cards are on the table from our previous situation or our previous plan of care. She didn't hold things back. I remember that about her. And she said, her response to my question of, well, what do you think is going on? Her response was, well, you're the physical therapist here. You figure it out, right? And I really got stopped in my tracks, because if you think about the goal, or what would make me, my ego is pounding here. What would make me a good practitioner would really be that she wouldn't have back pain again. I mean, I think that should be our goal as a coach, as a aide, as a therapist, as a practitioner, should be making people independent in their situation so they can take it and run with it. And I did not do that for her. So from that day on, I thought about the situation of, okay, we had her in a good spot, but it came back, and why? And I started to realize that we were not getting people all the way well. And I won't sit here and blame it on insurance. I won't blame it on my inexperience. I won't blame it on the system. I'll just say that I recognized we were not getting people all the way well like we could be. And so from there, I think from that point on, a lot of things have changed in terms of how I view healthcare, so to speak. And same thing with healthcare. Excuse me. Same thing with healthcare is medical necessity and how it relates to life. And I love this one. Life necessary is not the same as medical necessity. And if you've been in some sort of insurance situation before, you'll understand that there is what insurance companies call medical necessity. And once that medical necessity ends, according to them, then you probably shouldn't be getting therapy anymore, or we're not going to cover it. And so, typically for medical necessity, it's like, let's just say in shoulder situations, it's okay, I can raise my arm overhead. My therapist can do it for me. You're 180 degrees. Okay, you should be discharged, right? You're good to go. Well, medical necessity doesn't take into account that person wants to press a barbell 300 pounds over the head. They want to take their kid and throw them in the air in the backyard during a beautiful summer night like tonight. It doesn't take into account life necessity, and it boggles my mind. And so going back to kind of taking a sledgehammer to the traditional model, we don't get people medically ready. We get people life ready, and I'll leave it at that. And with that, we help active individuals move confidently and feel young. Who doesn't want to do that, right? I mean, if you don't want to feel young and move confidently, I don't know what to say. There's people out there every single day. They wake up, they hope their back pain is going to be better. It's not. I can't imagine, and I've been there, and I talk to people all the time that have this feeling. But I can't imagine that after a while you're overly excited about the thought of another day with back pain and having to plan your day or modify your day or not do certain things because of your back pain. Our goal is confidence and feeling like a spring chicken. All right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Quick little shameless plug here. We have written multiple guides, books, ebooks. I am a low back pain specialist and author. This is the 7 secrets to relieve low back pain. So if you're going to get some of these types of conversations, but if you're interested in this, certainly feel free to reach out. I don't do this or post this to brag or anything else. I post this because I realized a long time ago, I am in the business of helping people make good decisions. I'm not a physical therapist. I am a whatever you call it when you're somebody that helps other people make good decisions. And all I can do is give people information to make good decisions. So this book, I post this because, or I share this because that's our goal. And if you need more information for yourself beyond this webinar to help make a good decision, this book might be for you. So, all right, I got to get my props ready here. We're getting into it now. We're getting into the nuts and bolts. So why do you really have back pain? All right, what's the big secret? And this is for an individual who's been living with back pain for longer than 4 weeks. If you haven't been able to return to the activities that you love, the gym, not able to work because of that, then I'm going to share your likely reason why. And I wish I could somehow wow you or sound smarter or come up with some, guru like magic talk about why this is happening. But here's the truth, right? For 80%, 90% of people that walk through our doors, which is a smaller sample size of the greater population, 80, 90%, your back does not have the capacity to handle what you're asking it to do. Therefore, it stiffens up, it locks up, it creates pain and guarding, and sometimes it radiates symptoms elsewhere to let you know that it doesn't have that capability to do what you're asking it to do. Now, people are obsessed, medical practitioners especially, the person looking at you in the camera right now, I would be remiss to say We are obsessed with diagnosing or classifying or whatever it is. And I know that a lot of us want it to be that specific thing that, oh, it's that bulging disc, or it's that pinched nerve, or it's that my pelvis is a little rotated. But I hate to tell you, that's just not the truth. We have research showing, up to 95% of the time, back pain is mechanical. And all that means is that your back is not able to handle the demands of what you're asking it to do. And it has to do a lot, okay? So what am I talking about? What are a couple specific examples here? So posture, right? Posture gets a bad rap, and it's not the root of all evil, like some people want to make it out. But being too much in this, having too much of the same position for too long a period of time, your body can't necessarily always handle that. So posture is a funny thing. People talk about bad posture causing pain. I'm going to argue right now that any posture, if you try to hold it for too long, can cause problems because your body might not have the ability to handle it for that long. Repetitive movement. What a classic one. Repetitive demands. Let's talk about pulling weeds. The individual pulling weight from below their waist height in the gym. Bending over to pick up your grandkid time after time. Bending over to pick up your kid time after time. Carrying the car carrier. Sorry, my kids are a little older now, so I forget what it's called. But repetitive demands, what your body's going to do is say, you know what, you're asking us to do much. I'm going to wave the white flag here, and I'm going to create some symptoms to let you know that. Too heavy, or getting a sudden spasm with a movement. So everybody's probably had that classic case where they bend over and they pick something up that's heavy, and ooh, the back just didn't agree with it. Or another classic one is you're carrying something light and you move just suddenly, and all of a sudden your back seizes up on you, right? Your body didn't have the ability to handle that force, and so it waves the white flag and it stiffens up and it spasms up on you. And here's the other one, waking up with a stiff back, right? So what happens a lot of times is your back is so grateful for the rest and the opportunity to not have to do anything. And so it's like, yes, finally, nighttime, sleep, whatever, we get to rest. But when you get up in the morning, you go to move again, your back says, oh, come on, no thank you. We were in a good spot and now we're moving. That is a lot of times what happens with your back pain stiffness in the morning. And so these are all classic examples. Now, I'm going to get into a little bit of an analogy here just to kind of prove what I'm talking about, or not prove, it's not going to prove anything, show you visually what I'm talking about. So I like to look at back pain. Excuse me, I'm going to take a little drink here again. I like to look at back pain and our ability to handle the demands of what our environment is asking of us, like a cup, right? So I have this cup here, right? Nice stars in red cup, and there's a little bit of water in it, which is our daily stressors. All right, and I'm gonna do my best not to botch this analogy, but our body is the cup, and all of the things that we ask our body to do is fluid in the cup, or adding fluid in the cup, right? So as I look at this, I have my body where it stands today, and I have the amount of sitting that I do at my desk. I have going to the gym and doing things that maybe I'm not ready for, or haven't warmed up for properly. I have bending over to pick up my kids. I have sleeping on a hotel bed at a wedding that wasn't so great, and then all of a sudden, overflows, right? And I did just literally spill on myself, which is not for effect, but so that's the overflowing cup. When we have asked more of our body than it can handle, the cup overflows. The water comes over the edges. That is the analogy of when pain will set in, right? If my cup is too small, i.e., if I haven't built up the capacity to handle things, then anytime I add stress to my body, it's gonna produce this overflowing cup, which is gonna lead to pain. I'll talk about this in a couple minutes, but how do we get a bigger cup? through tissue health, through getting stronger, through being more confident in our ranges of motion, through exposing ourselves to different stimuli that our body is more prepared for than when it actually happens. So many of us have too small of a cup, but we're filling it up way too much. When that cup overflows is when we get pain. We need to build a bigger cup. Now, before we move forward here, key points to consider. We do not fix anybody's back pain. That is the other bad F word in my vocabulary, right? Fixing back pain, we don't do. We're not mechanics. We don't have these special guru-like tools. And that really is the part of the problem with our system right now in general. And what I talked about before is that people expect to be fixed. And I mean this with the most respect, but patients, customers, consumers, clients, they expect to be fixed. We all want the quick fix. And and even a bigger problem is the practitioner thinks they're the fixer. And so that's how they communicate with the individuals, that I can fix X. I can pop something back into place. I can needle something away. I can, a lot of different things to be said there. But if the practitioner thinks they're the fixer and the patient thinks they need to be fixed, we run into problems. We can't fix your back pain, but we can certainly provide an environment where you're going to thrive and become independent in fixing your own back pain. And that's exactly what we're striving for, is independence. Okay. The beauty of this scenario is we help provide an environment for you to take ownership of your back pain. And if that's the case, and that actually happens, and it does with a lot of people that come through our doors, you do not need to keep coming back. If you need to come back to somebody to be fixed, I'm not sure that we're truly solving the problem. Now, with us, you may certainly want to, and we're not going to turn you away. But if you're coming back, it's for tune-ups, for exercise progressions, to stay ahead of things. So keep that in mind in terms of your viewpoint on back pain and how we're addressing it, right? Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. What do we do about this? We reset, reboot, release, we reload, we reinforce, we reintegrate, and we transform. I'm going to get into detail what these mean in a second. This is not some guru-like process that I've come up with. This is just for the sake of this workshop, how I kind of envision things when we see a lot of the people that we do, from start to finish. So, reboot, reset, release. Basically, what we're trying to do initially, we got to put the fire out. It is dang near impossible to get anybody doing active strategies, strengthening, some of the things that we want if there's pain, if there's guarding, if there's tension. So our first goal is to help people get out of that situation, all right? Things we use dry needling. We're going to talk about that in detail in a second. We use manipulation, spinal manipulation, what some chiropractors would potentially call chiropractic adjustment. It's a very similar thing, different theory, different intent behind it, different evaluation, obviously. Massage, deep tissue release, and then kind of our assisted guided range of motion or stretching to just, again, try to put the fire out, okay? So many of you that are on this call, and I'm keeping my eye on the questions here, so don't worry. But many of you that are on this call, you've probably maybe you've had dry needling, but it is more and more common. It's newer in the US, but I think more people that have had back pain have started to try to take advantage of the strategy. So if you've had dry needling, good, bad, or otherwise, don't shut yourself off yet. Because one of the things I want to say is that it's not always dry needling, much like it's not always the physical therapist. It's not always physical therapy. It's not always the thing. It's how you're doing the thing. So there's a big difference between a lot of therapists. There's a big difference between a lot of people that help you get out of pain. There's a big difference between how different people do dry needling. What I want to talk about is it's very, very important about the theory, the evaluation, and the intent behind the dry needling, and then where we do the dry needling based off of that. One of the very common areas that people tend to avoid or tend to miss is the multifidi muscles. If you look on my guy here, my 3D guy, These are deeper stabilizing muscles of the lower back. They run all the way up actually, but you can see how deep they are. They're very, very close to the vertebrae. And what they do is they're deep stabilizers that have a massive, massive play in back pain. So what happens is often with chronic back pain, anything that's been going on for longer than 4 weeks, these muscles actually become deconditioned and they stop doing their job. And because they don't do their primary job because of pain, the back doesn't function how it normally would, and pain continues to cycle on itself. It's a negative cycle. So these muscles literally will inhibit or stop working when we've had pain that's present long enough. And then anytime we ask our back to do work beyond that, it's not operating at its normal capability because those muscles are inhibited. So it's very, very important to be able to identify this and then use dry needling to jumpstart these muscles, which we can do, right? We can definitely jumpstart these muscles. We use dry needling to reset, reboot, get the muscle back to their normal length tension, whatever you want to call it. But we definitely need to hit these deeper stabilizing muscles with anybody that has prolonged chronic back pain, okay? So I'm going to take a little mini break here. Has anybody that's on this had that area? Are they certain or sure that they've had that area dry needled? It's a fantastic area to have dry needled. Basically, it's deep in. You don't feel it as aggressive as other areas when you have it done, but the relief is pretty quick and pretty instantaneous. So if you've had that, great. Hopefully it's helped. If not, and you're still struggling, I do highly recommend we look at that area. All right, reload. Now, because of the wonderful nature of what's happened today, without having internet at my clinic, I won't get to demonstrate things exactly how I want, but I have put in some videos to give you some examples of our next steps here. So reloading is starting to put active range of motion back into the tissues and building up confidence in load and stress at end range, kind of in the spine and surrounding areas. So we need to be mobile where we should be mobile. And this is one of these key actionable steps here. In this situation, a lot of times what we're doing after the needling or after the reset reboot, what we're trying to do is promote confidence in movement. And many people with back pain obviously have that scenario or that position or movement that they don't like, they don't trust, it doesn't feel good. I'm going to go through a classic scenario tonight of forward bending, right? Forward folding, whatever you want to call it. Many people are guarded, apprehensive, painful in that situation. And so the secret sauce to reloading and to figuring out how do we build some confidence in that is to actually do the polar opposite. Okay, so we'll think about this for a second. If bending forward is your troublemaker and you're guarded and you're prevented from doing it, trying to do more of that, your brain is going to say, no, thank you. Please stop. I'm going to keep guarding. I'm actually going to guard more if you keep doing this. So a lot of times what we try to work on is we try to go the polar opposite direction. And we say, you know what? We know you can go that direction. Hammer the snot out of that. Get really solid and confident in that. And then when you come back and do the motion that's painful or guarded, it's actually automatically improved. Automatically is not the right word. It's improved in that moment a lot of times at that point. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. And much like if you had one-sided back pain and it's tough to bend one way. So let's say this way, you can only go this way, but you can go this way really good. We might say hammer the snot out of going the way that's good. And then when you come back and go the opposite way, all of a sudden it's opened up. So here's an example of what I'm talking about for the individual who struggles bending forward. And apologizes where we're going to have to show you some videos and kind of keep sharing our screen here. But so this is our prone press progression. So for individuals that really are guarded and bending forward, a lot of times what we're going to try to do is take that individual and promote back bending. And really the key points here as you watch this video are your brain and nervous system, they don't necessarily care whether you're going forward or backward. They care that there's movement happening, and they care that you're getting to end range and you're loading the joints and the tissues. So after you do the opposite way, or the way that you can actually do comfortably, you come back and move forward, and your brain is a little bit, your nervous system is a little bit less guarded to those movements. So in this instance here, you can see, if you can see my pointer, we're really taking that low back into extension. We're loading the joints, we're loading the tissues, and my back and my body say, well, this is good movement, this is solid, we're good to go. We want to do as much of this as possible, and then when we come back and we go into forward bending, hopefully it's a heck of a lot more tolerable for us. So this is an example, right? It's not the end all be all, but I do want to give you, in the reload stage, we want to try to take tissues, get them some movement, get them some loading. It's usually range of motion based stuff, but the more you can do where your nervous system is not guarded or preventing against, the more beneficial it's going to be when you come back to try to do the movement that's painful. All right, now getting into reinforcing. This is a awesome spot. So this is where we get to start adding some strength. Now, I'll tell you right now, unfortunately, many people in the rehab process do not get to this point. They've maybe gotten the pain relief that they're looking for, and then they've maybe done some of those range of motion exercises to start to feel a little bit better, but they have not gotten to the point of loading their tissues and starting to build confidence. So the reinforced stage, we're starting to add strength and layer in key elements of core, of hip, of shoulder, things that start to build up confidence in the back and the spine. We're likely starting with exercises. I'm going to get into this, where the muscles are doing work to hold and support, but you're not going through a big range of motion. Okay. So this is where we typically hammer isometric exercises. If you have not heard of isometric exercises, please look at my triple asterisk on this. Asterisk, yep. I got it. Look at that and just think about this for a second. There's so much simplicity to this, and I'm not sure enough people are using it. And what happens is the isometric exercise, where the muscle's doing work, it's actually contracting, but you're not going through a range of motion. There is down regulation, pain relief. There's it down regulates the pain for hypoalgesic effect. I'm getting really excited talking about this, so I apologize. This is a fancy way of saying you get pain relief. So you get something that gets you stronger, that starts promoting muscle activation, and it gives you pain relief. And another reason why is it's associated with cortical inhibition, fancy words for the part of your brain that control pain. It inhibits that area. And all the while, we build muscle and tendon resilience so that we can start to promote the healing process. So isometric exercises, if you don't feel like you've been through this or tried this, or you've had somebody that understands this and can go about it the right way, please look into this. I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about here with an isometric exercise for our reinforced stage. This is a half kneeling Pallof press, and that's a fancy word for saying we're going to put our spine and those multifidi muscles into some stress, but we're not going to go through a range of motion. So I got a band anchored sideways. I'm challenging my core in a little bit, my lower body with the half kneeling, and my multifidi muscles and my core muscles are responsible for holding that position, not letting the band pull me back. There's muscle activation, muscle strength, but we're not going through a big range of motion. I know it does not sound overly sexy or exciting, but man alive, this is the sweet spot for a lot of people. If we can get to this, and you can do these things and start to notice the pain relief, but also the confidence boost that comes from it, you're going to be in a really good spot. And then reintegration. Reintegrate is where we start to expose you to the things that you need to do in your everyday life, sport, hobby, physical activity. So this is where, as a team, we decide, okay, these are the things that you need to do. And my value, our value as practitioners, is this right here, right? Write this down, because this is our value. Giving you the right exercise in the right order at the right time. And this reintegration phase is where we're starting to give you graded exposure to things. So we know you need to get back to doing something. We can't avoid it. Saying stop, do that, or not do that is not the answer. But we can start to expose you in a very smart, systematic way to the thing that you need to be doing again. And that's called graded exposure. So if you're a golfer, we're going to start exposing you to golf-like rotational movements. But we're not going to ask you to pick up a driver and hit a driver right off the bat, right? If you needed to bend over frequently to care for a child, we're not going to start exposing you with a full bending and picking up 200 pounds. We're going to start giving you this graded exposure to bending forward with a little bit of weight or maybe no weight, right? This is the reintegration phase. So the big difference here is that now our muscles take on stress and we start to get to go through a range of motion, okay? So let's pull this up. Oh, we get an ad.
You know a lot about
Hold on a second.
You know an RX.
All right. So here's the kettlebell deadlift. This is a phenomenal exercise for individuals with back pain because we're going to start doing the thing that so many of us need to do, pulling weight from below hip height and keeping a nice, safe, neutral spine during it. There's a lot of misinformation about the deadlift and this type of movement. Please make sure you find somebody like us to take you through that. We are going to guide you through the right way to do a hip hinge, to do a deadlift, and you're going to get a lot of back health, a lot of back strength, a lot of confidence from that. So we're starting to take you through, that's just an example, but we're starting to take you through ranges of motion and expose you to things that you're going to need to do, but we do it the right way, we do it systematically, and we build you up. All right. Last, transformation phase. So getting you rock solid back into whatever it is you need to do. And this is kind of like the cherry on top. If we've been able to reload, reinforce, and then reintegrate, right now, all we're trying to do is build your cup to be mammoth, right? So we're starting to change things like speed, length of time of doing the activity, how much of the activity we do or volume, repetition, endurance, and we start giving you all sorts of variations on top of it. This is where most rehab situations don't even come close to, right? Like if you had to go out and run on a turf field or do shuttle runs or, do a barbell, do a kettlebell, a lot of your traditional places aren't going to have these things. Likewise, if you need to be able to carry 50 pounds of a car seat carrier for your kid, some clinics don't even have that much weight to do these types of things. So the yellow TheraBand and whatnot's not going to cut it, and I will leave it at that. I just kind of gave you some examples of where's the transformation, but if it's an individual who's got to run, we might have you doing a bunch of single leg hopping. If it's an individual who's got to carry a car carrier, 50 pounds, I might give you some decent weight and have you do like a farmer's carry for a while. I might ask you to do that for some endurance. If it's somebody that's got a repetitious job or activity, I might ask you to take 2 minutes and just pick up and put down that thing within safety as much as you can. So taking to that next step in the transformation is a little bit harder to demonstrate here, but that's a beautiful spot to get. So in review, how do we do this? Here's our system, a couple keynotes. We reset, reboot, release. Think about it with the dry needling. If you haven't had dry needling before, think about where we're doing it, why we're doing it. Think about those multifidi muscles. That's all I ask you. Reload. This is where I don't like going one way. Well, let's go a whole heck of a lot the other way until my brain and my body realize that movement is good for me. I come back to the painful or the guarded way. All of a sudden, it's good. Reinforce. The beautiful, beautiful spot to be. Isometric exercises. Again, if you have not had somebody take you through those types of exercises, you have to try them. It's a very specific way of going about introducing strength, but at the same time, you get pain relief. It's beautiful. Reintegrate. Key point there, graded exposure. What's our value? The right exercise in the right order at the right time. Okay, and then the transformation, that is the cherry on top of everything. So I'm going to ask you this. If you're on, could you be the next Ken? And the reason I chose this is not to pat myself on the back or, again, try to be cheesy salesy with a testimonial. It's because of this last line, actually. I fully endorse Eric as being highly effective, not only in creating change quickly, but in developing long-standing change. Okay, long-standing change. I wish I should have bolded that and underlined that. We are in the game of transformation. We are not in the game of quick wins, quick fixes. Those are usually quick to go back. So, please, please, please try to see yourself in Ken's shoes. Try to see yourself in some of the situations I've talked about tonight. If you don't feel like this process has really taken place for you, or even some of these specific steps haven't taken place for you, then please feel free to reach out to us. Okay. And here's the process on paper. So every single person that comes in, a new individual that hasn't worked with us before, they're going to get this document, and it's going to basically show them exactly what I've taken you through tonight in this workshop. And it's our plan of care. And it's basically saying we are going for a transformation and a lasting benefit. So phase one, we got to figure out what's going on. We got to make sure whoever is the individual, we're a right fit for them, they're a right fit for us. We're going to get to the root cause of it, and we're going to really establish the goals. Phase two, we talked about in that reset, reboot, we're going to maybe try some pain relief strategies, dry needling, manipulation, deep tissue work, stretching, whatever it is, but we want to calm down any swelling, inflammation. We want to unlock the stiff joints, and we want to release the muscle tension. But if you notice this little stop sign here, that is where a lot of traditional physical therapy stops. And that is the problem. And I don't need to keep rehashing it. I think I've talked about it enough, but that is what makes us different. We are different. We are taking you into this transformation phase. So this is where we're starting to get into phase 3. We're starting to get into that reload and that reinforce. We're starting to regain motion and flexibility. We're starting to activate and strengthen underworking muscles and stabilize joints. Okay. And then the transformation is that lasting benefit. That last step is returning to the activity you desire to, and having the full confidence that you're not going to break down. You're going to move confidently. You're going to move without thought, without fear. And then the last thing that we talk about with all of our individuals is the gold standard, which is just making sure we stay ahead. Again, you shouldn't need to come back to us if we're doing our job, but we want you to come back for progressions, for those tune-ups, and because it's good for you. Okay. So one last thing here. What's a classic excuse for a lot of us? I'm busy. I'm too busy to put myself first. I'm too busy to take care of my back. Well, Michael is a busy dad and golfer. And again, I love this because he talks about the dry needling, but he also talks about the exercise program and strengthening, right? And Michael is, I'm going to be blunt. I don't know when I've seen Michael last. It's been a while because he is doing very, very well on his own. All right. So at this point in time, that is what I got for you. And we never want to leave something like this without giving you the opportunity to take the next step. So if you are watching this and you want to take the next step with us, I'm not going to give you some big sales spiel, but I am going to tell you, you have some information. Hopefully you see how we see things and the type of people that we work with and who we help and what we're going for. And if you want to take action on that, hop on and grab this free discovery visit. Okay. The link is right here. It's modusrx.com/free-discovery-visit. And you're going to be able to apply to get in with us and basically get that consultation, get all the answers or get all the questions that you have answered. And like I talked about, give you information to make a good decision. That's the game that we're in here. We're trying to give you the vision of what we do and how we do it. We're not saying it's the best or the right way, but man, have we certainly helped a lot of people in that fashion. And maybe you're next, right? So thank you for your time and attention. I know it's a beautiful night out there, and I really appreciate you being with us tonight. If you're interested in more, if you want to go download the e-guide for the low back or any of the other stuff, you can go to our website at modusrx.com. We will follow up with you, obviously, with the replay. But hop onto that website and make sure you take advantage of that offer for that free discovery visit. We are busy, and I don't know how many of those slots we have left. And here's our information. If you want to reach out, modusrx.com. There's our phone number. There we are on Instagram. There we are on Facebook. You'll get to at least see more of me talking about how much I love wings or the Milwaukee Bucks or whatever it is. So once again, greatly appreciate your time tonight. I'm going to go back and give you the offer for the free discovery visit, or there's a link for the free discovery visit one more time. But I'm going to turn off my video. I'm going to let you be. I'm going to let you process, and I couldn't be more grateful that you were able to spend some time with us tonight and hopefully learn about your situation, insert yourself here or somewhere, and hopefully take some actionable steps to getting improvement. All right. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.